LinkedIn. Welcome, welcome. We are live. I'm so excited. Had a smooth intro. This is exciting. I'm getting the hang of this. I'm getting the hang of this live streaming and this program that I'm using. Very exciting. We're live on YouTube, LinkedIn, live on Instagram, live on Facebook. So thank you everybody for jumping in here, listening, whether it's now or later. I really appreciate it. Live in love with Laura. This is episode number 4 going live. I think there's maybe 200 episodes of Live in Love with Laura that are pre-recorded for the past. I started 10 years ago. I did 100 episodes, and then I retired that project and started doing other things. And then when COVID hit, I started doing Live in Love with Laura's again, which was a lot of fun. And now here we are doing it live. This is exciting, very exciting. So thank you for listening in. Thank you for jumping in here. I know there's lots that you can find online. So if you're here, I'm sure there's no coincidence. Never know what it is that is meant to catch you while you land in this space. I just had an amazing session with one of my kid clients who, she's just so funny, super expressive. She always has these funny one-liners that I just start laughing. And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "You're just funny." Like she's talking about a friend of hers. She goes, "Oh, she's my," what did she say? My bestie for the restie. And I was just like, okay, amazing. So welcome to the live. I'm already having a great day. I have a bunch of sessions today, so it'll be great. And I'm super excited. Today is the day of the beginning of the mastermind program that I've been talking so much about. It is 10 years for that too. So I wrote a book back in 2013, and it was called Discover You, Discovering the World. And I wrote the book with the intention to share different tools and practices that I had at that time to help people with suicide prevention. So I had lost an aunt to suicide, and then soon after that, there was a series of youth suicides in the community that I was living in. In the community I was living in, I was working in hospice, um, uh, going into schools and volunteering with the bereavement program. I was at a children's mental health agency. I was on the suicide prevention committee. I was doing safe talks and talking about suicide prevention all the time. And I had a friend of mine who I was, he knew that I had a lot of different practices, and he was like, why don't you share that in a book? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I've always had a dream to write a book, and I always just imagined that I would, like, be sitting by a lake or a beach with a big window and typing my book up, like, back in later years of my life. He's like, no, you should do that now. And he challenged me to finish the book by the end of the month. So it was, at the time, it was halfway through November, and I had to finish by the end of November. And I took on the challenge, and I was working, I think, like 3 jobs at the time. I was in between a bunch of stuff. I was literally in a room that had boxes everywhere, and I'm sitting there on my computer typing up this book every free moment that I had. And so I finished it in the 2 weeks, and then I had an old high school teacher do the editing. And I was convinced that the book had to get out. Like, it's so easy when you're working on a project to get caught up on perfection, to be able to make sure it's just right and make sure, well, I need to have this, I need to have that. And when I wrote the book, I was like, great, I'm done. And it's like, no, you're not done. Like, writing the book, the writing part of the book is literally just like a small fraction of what you need to do when it comes to writing a book. Like, it's wild. It's really, there's so many pieces to it. And having to learn all those pieces, like from the editing, and then you write, and then you edit, then you write, and the back and the forth, and formatting, and the designing of the book. Like, there's so many pieces. And there's a lot of good people, great people around me that supported me at that time, that helped me with the design and helped me with getting it out. So I really appreciate everyone who was around me at that time to encourage and, push that forward. And so this book got out, and it was great. It was a bestseller on Amazon, which was a huge accomplishment at the time. And I was getting into bookstores. I did like a book signing in Chapters, and it was a lot of fun. But at the time, I had got a group together. It was the very first mastermind I ever did, and it was such a range of people. Like, I think the youngest was, I think, 17. The oldest was in her 70s. Like, just total huge range. In fact, the mastermind program that starts tonight, it also has that range to it. So I'm really excited, because I think the ages and stages, we can actually learn a lot from each other. You think, oh, everybody has to be around the same age, but when you have that variety, different roles kind of pull out. So it's interesting to watch. So at that time, I called it the book club, and it was I had my old office on Vital Street, and once a week we would come together and cover each chapter. And I had a workbook that went with the book, and we would go through the exercises and just bring people through a process of going through the process that the book has, which essentially is getting clarity on what your experiences have been in your life, how that has become a weight, whether it's through belief systems, or it becomes a weight of stopping you from going to where you want to go. So also a big piece is just getting clarity on where you want to go. I mean, I still can't believe that more than 80% of people don't know what they want. Like, that's wild to me. More than 80% of people do not know what they want in their life. So 20% might know what they want, but might not know how to get there. And then so even less than 20% of people actually create a life that they want. That's wild. It's so wild to think about. So it's so important, whether you're in a mastermind, whether you're in a coaching program, whether you're on your own, it doesn't matter. You really need to spend some time to get clarity on what you want. So that's a big piece of the mastermind program. So through that process, this was 10 years ago with the first, book club, there was some amazing things that occurred. I mean, looking back now, and I reconnected with some of the people that were in that program recently, which is kind of funny how things just like full circles all over the place around me right now. I'm in some kind of weird cycle closure sort of piece. But the 17-year-old, for example, was having relationship issues at the time, and now she's married to the individual, and they have a child, which is crazy. And then one of the individuals started building schools in Africa. Another one of the individuals, the oldest one in the group, in her 70s, she met the love of her life during that group. And I recently connected with her, and they're still together. Like, how special is that, to be like in your 80s and in love, and not just in love, but like that sort of cheesy Hallmark sort of love. Like, it's just really, really cool. And then there's other people in the group that somebody manifested their dream home. Some people were, dealing with relationship stuff, job changes. So it's pretty incredible what the power of coming together and working together. And you don't have to have shared goals, but having a shared space to work towards goals, how that can amplify your ability to get to where you want to go. Relationships are really, really, really important. They're so powerful. Who you surround yourself with, it matters. It truly matters, because there are certain people in your life that they are an encouraging voice. They are that voice you need when you're doubting yourself. They're that voice that reminds you of what to stay positive, or to stay strong, or have courage, or to be brave, or to push forward. But then we also have voices around us that are discouraging, that, well, what about this? And what about that? Like the worriers, or the people who, perhaps have their own self-doubts and their own stresses and their own worries. And then they bring that into the relationship and add that to you. And when you're going through something. So be super mindful of who you spend your time with, who you surround yourself with, because that can help raise you up, or it can help break you down. And becoming aware of, I like to call it like doing a relationship inventory on the people around you, where you're spending your time, who are you spending your time with. So with the mastermind program, it gives people an opportunity to be in a shared space of working towards not necessarily shared goals, but goals in general, and having that positive container, that encouraging container, that container to get over obstacles, to get over blocks that might come into play when it comes to going after what you want. Because that's the thing, right? It's like I said, how more than 80% of people don't know what they want. So now we're into 20% of people. So within that 20% of people, even less actually manifest what they want. So to be clear on what you want is huge step. 80% of the work. So big, so big. But then you have to align to what it is that you want. You have to align to it. And what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, when you get clarity on what you want and you know what it is that you want, then you can get clarity on what is it going to feel like when you experience what you want. So a perfect example is like, oh, I really want to have like a strong relationship with someone. I really want to manifest a relationship. Great. So what are you going to feel like when you have that relationship? Well, if I'm in a relationship, I'm going to feel love and I'm going to feel joy and I'm going to feel connection, all these things. Okay, great. You need to nail down those feelings and then align yourself to those feelings as you're working towards manifesting what you want. So to allow yourself to feel love, to feel joy, to feel connection, not necessarily with a person yet, because that person you haven't manifested yet, but you can manifest that within yourself. You can manifest it with other relationships, family relationships, friend relationships. You can be paying attention. Like, am I in a state of love? And you might be, no, I'm in a state of freaking misery, Laura. Like I'm angry or I'm frustrated or I'm stressed or I'm tired. Great. You need to be able to name that and recognize, okay, there's what I want. And right now, I'm actually not in alignment to creating what I want. So I have to shift how I feel so that I can be back in alignment. So if you want to have a healthy body or you want to have, strength or more energy, then it's like, okay, well, when you reach that goal, what's that going to feel like? Well, I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to feel more positive. I'm going to feel better about myself and all those sorts of things. So do you feel like that now? No. I look in the mirror and I talk so negatively to myself, or, I point out all the things that are, going wrong or whatever it is. It's like, okay, well, that's not going to help you stay in alignment to creating that healthy, energetic, vital body, right? So you want to be in alignment to it based on how you think and you feel now. That's like throwing down keys today, apparently. Like these are huge pieces to manifesting what you want to create. Because a lot of times, even when you manifest a relationship, so it's like you want to have the love and the joy and the connection, you manifest that in your life, but do you maintain that? Do you maintain that? So now you're in relationship with someone. Are you maintaining that level of love? Are you maintaining that level of connection, that level of joy? No, we're miserable. I can't stand this person. Like I'm actually considering leaving, all these sorts of things. Okay, well, what have you done recently to contribute to creating that love? What have you done recently to co-create joy? What have you done recently to co-create that connection? So you got to be radically honest with yourself, right? To be able to implement what I'm talking about. You need to see things as they are, not worse than they are, but also not better than they are. What I mean by that is like, everything's fine, everything's fine. No, everything's not fine. Be honest with yourself. You don't need to be super negative about it. Like we talked about with Joao this week, it's like you want to be mindful of your words and your language and how you talk about things, but you want to be honest. And if things are not where you want them to be, take a moment to check in with yourself on what can I do to be in alignment to that? What can I do right now? And sometimes it seems counterproductive. So let me break that down a little bit. Oh, I'm knocking over things here. So if I want to be in a relationship of joy, but I feel miserable, I'm not in a relationship, so how can I be in a relationship of joy? Well, I can be in joy first. So what can I do that's actually going to connect me to joy? And what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. So you have to know yourself on like what brings you joy. Maybe it's cooking. Maybe it's going for a walk in nature. Maybe that what brings you joy is dancing. Maybe it's painting. Like whatever it is, you got to do that. So now let's say it's dancing, right? And you're like, okay, so I need to be in alignment to what it's going to feel like to manifest what I want, which is which will help me to feel joy. So now today I'm going to dance to manifest a relationship. Because dancing brings you joy. And if you dance and you get into that joy, you're aligning to the feeling in which you're going to be in when you have that relationship. So it's a frequency. So what you're doing is right now you're aligning yourself to an energetic frequency to be able to manifest the frequency in which you want to bring into your life. So play with that. This is great. I didn't even know I was going to go in this direction today. I have some amazing people that are listening on live. People I haven't seen forever. So I love you all. Thank you for being part of Live in Love with Laura Live. This is exciting. I'm on Instagram Live. I haven't been saving them on Instagram, but you can always check them out on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and apparently LinkedIn Live. So much love, everyone. If you are struggling, you need some support in being in alignment to what you want to create in your life, or you just want some damn clarity, because clarity is gold. Reach out. We can have a conversation, give you free consultations, and we can check in and be able to have a chat about all this. So much love. Thank you for being here. And I'm gonna see if I can do this flawlessly and do a bit of I don't know what it's called. It's like an out commercial. Bye everyone. See you tomorrow.
Laura is sponsored by Royal Arts Healing Academy. Visit www.royalartshealingacademy.com, check out the services, and book a free consultation today.